Good morning, guys, and welcome to Unique Matrika with me, Shamla Mahapat. And today I have Lisa Gani. And this month is we celebrate on the 21st World Down Syndrome Day. And there's a lot of other activities, and I think given the um, given our and the FNS take on World Down Syndrome and what they're fortunate that and Tobago, I think that this could be taken and put globally in terms of what they did. But before we get into that, I want to talk to Lisa about vulnerability of young women with disability, especially young women with Down syndrome, and in terms of sexual abuse, verbal abuse, you know. Lisa, what do you know about young women in general who have disabilities who are going through these things? And is there any way or any medium that they could go in particular to get help?
Well, globally, the thought is that, of course, persons with Down syndrome and other disabilities as well are more vulnerable to sexual abuse and being taken advantage of because of the lack of knowledge. Our take on this is that, we must start to train our children with disabilities from the time they are born. Early intervention, like you do with your typical children, is very important. You have to teach your children about their body. You have to teach them about sexuality, age appropriate education on these things, so that they know, what a good touch is, what a bad touch is. They know how to actually recognize when someone may not be doing something that is the right thing to them. So I think, we come back again to education being the key to everything. And of course, education in the home starts with the parents. And so parents must be aware that they need to be their child's first teacher of these types of things. Sexuality in Trinidad is a bit of a taboo subject with parents, and especially when it comes to children with disabilities, parents sometimes are in denial that their child with a disability has sexual feelings just like other children and other adolescents and other young persons. And it's not because they have Down syndrome means that they are not attracted to another partner, or that they don't go through the normal adolescent type of feelings regarding their sexuality. So at the Down Syndrome Family Network, we have been trying to educate our parents. We've held workshops with therapists where we talk about sexuality, about sexual development in teens and young people. And gradually we're getting parents to open up a little bit. It's not been an easy task because, as I said, it's not something that we're comfortable with. And so, the more that we do that is the better prepared that our children will be to face, the dangers that sometimes may be there for them. In addition to that, they can also access help through the TTPS, through the gender-based violence unit, which they also have persons working with them that can reach out to different groups and persons if there is a circumstance that they need assistance and help. And there are other NGOs like the Rape Crisis Center and so on that can also give assistance if there has been an incident with a child or young person involving sexual abuse.
Before I go into this, I just want to make this point. I remember a person, we were behind closed doors, and this person, this mother, came forward and said her child, she cannot move, right? She is flat on bed, and when she has to leave her child home, right? And when she's not there, there's no one to take care of her child. And the neighbor would come and sexually rape her child.
Mm-hmm.
And she would go through that over and over again. And when she reported, nothing is being done because they say they put her as the person responsible for that. Yes, she is responsible, but we have a duty, persons have a duty to show her, okay, my child, I need to work to support my child. Therefore, is there any services involved where I can get an aid or put my child during the day? And if so, there's so much we can talk about, but I just wanted to make that point. With regards to World Down Syndrome Day, now, I know we are still under some restriction, right? So how, I know the team is, we decide, how are you guys at Down Syndrome Family Network going to, commemorate and celebrate this day?
Well, just to follow up on your first comment about the mother and the child, that is a reality in Trinidad and Tobago now, especially with COVID. Even families with typical children are forced into a situation where, at many times, because the parent has to work, children are left alone at home, which is against the law. So, we're in a very vulnerable situation right now with the gaps that have been caused by COVID. In the case of the mother and child with a disability, the Ministry of Social Services, Social Development does provide some support in areas like that. But at the end of the day, it is a very difficult situation to be in, and many people are challenged to get help and assistance in the way that they can. But we must all be vigilant, and we must continue to support one another in communities and be there for our neighbors as well. With regards to the conference, this year, our theme is Connect, and that has come out of the COVID again, that we see the gaps, especially with the vulnerable, and we need to find new ways to connect with each other. It's not always easy for persons with intellectual disabilities to be online and to be attentive for long periods. So that has caused, a lot of concern again in how do we meet the needs of children with intellectual disabilities who are very visual in learning and also need, the support of assistance and aids. So the conference is going to focus on some of those issues. We have a very a good lineup of speakers. Some of them are speakers that were carded to speak last year, and because of COVID, we had to cancel. And so they have agreed to join us virtually through the webinar. You can register for the webinar on our Facebook page and our website. The link is on our website, and it's free to everyone. So there, you can join us from your home or your office by logging on, but you must register to be able to get the link. We have our self-advocate from Canada. Her name is Julien Lobo, and she actually works in Ottawa in the Parliament. And she's going to share her story with us, because many of these stories are inspiration for our parents to understand that their children have the potential to work and to be included in regular school, and that they need to do their part to make sure that the children have access to learning and education. And then we have our Ria Mohammed Davidson, who's a human rights lawyer, who's going to talk about what's happening in Trinidad with regards to legislation. And we have Inclusion International, Diane Richler, who's going to also speak about trends in inclusive education, because education is where it all starts.
Yes, and I know Glenn Niles is a big advocate for education and independence of disability. Now, to close off, what would you say is the most fundamental thing that we need to look at in terms of not only persons with Down syndrome, but persons with disability in general, that we need to tackle now, given your experience and your knowledge working with the Down Syndrome Family Network?
I think education is key, Shamla. Education not just of persons with Down syndrome and disabilities, but education of the public. We need to change perceptions. We have a lot of perceptions that have been sort of fueled by years and years of misinformation. And so therefore, public perception of the abilities of persons with disabilities and Down syndrome are very are not real. A lot of it is myth and not fact. So once we start to educate the public, we can change behavior. And then we must educate our persons with Down syndrome and disabilities so that they can function, properly and be independent in society. So I think education is really the key to empowerment.
Exactly. And turning somebody into an asset is cheaper than having them a liability for the rest of their life. Lisa, I know next week we're going to continue this conversation by having a self-advocate come, share her story, share her testimony of being an independent person with Down syndrome. With that being said, I want to say thank you so much for coming, sharing your knowledge, and volunteering. You are an incredible woman. I admire you from afar. You don't know this, and I boast about you, and I boast knowing you, right?
Thank you.
I want to say thank you for all the work that you do for, for persons with disability. So, guys, thank you so much again for tuning in to this week's segment of Unique Not Different. Until next week, be good, be good. Bye, guys.
Bye, Shamla.